Okay, this is one of the biggest and funniest problems homeowners have, or people who grow zucchini. Year after year, they plant zucchini, and then the harvest is so big. I mean, so big, not just in size, but in volume, that they'd have no idea what to do with it. Now, if you're a neighbor, you know every summer they're bringing over zucchinis, not the tomatoes, which are the ones you really want, and you're almost hiding at the front door, making sure you don't answer because they brought more zucchinis. So, as I'm making this video, you might be lucky to never had to deal with so much zucchini, or if you are, you're trying to scratch your head on what to do, and maybe you won't grow zucchini next year's. We'll walk through 10 ways to use it up and put away that zucchini glut, not just the ones you've already heard of about 100 times, but a couple that have nothing to do with eating zucchini at all. And one of them is a food safety thing somebody mentioned to me years ago. Now, you can freeze and grate it for winter. Any bacon. My wife makes a great zucchini bread, and it's one that most of my coworkers can't get their hands off of once I serve it. It's one of my favorites, and honestly, it's tasty. Even my kids love it. You wash the zucchini, run it under, with water, and then run it into the big holes of a grater. You don't even need to peel it. Keep the skin on. Remember, zucchini is mostly water, which is why you never freeze zucchini without getting most of the water out of it. You want to squeeze that grated zucchini hard into a clean towel or a bit of cheesecloth and wring it out as much of the liquid as you can. Then you create portions based on the recipes you're actually planning to make. You could put about 2 cups into a freezer bag, and that's how you want to make your, zucchini bread if you're not making it right away. You can flatten the bag so that way they stack nicely in the freezer, and don't forget to label them as well. You freeze them in slices and or chunks. It's up to you. If you want, you could rather use zucchini for soups, stews, and skillet dinners. You freeze them in slices and cubes instead of shreds. And for this one, you want to blanch it. You want to put them in half-inch slices in about boiling water for about 3 minutes. Take them straight out into a bowl of ice water so that we can stop cooking, and you want to keep them in for the same amount of time. Drain them well, put them in freezer bags with the air pushed out, and let them freeze. You can also turn them into chips in a dehydrator. Now, here's the thing you might not have tried, but it turns into a giant pile of squash into something that is actually a pantry shelf safe item. Slice your zucchinis into thin rounds, about an eighth of an inch, so they're crisp up instead of staying chewy. A mandolin slicer is perfect for this, and it keeps them even. Lay the rounds on a single layer on your dehydrator, make sure they don't overlap, and let them dry out evenly. Set the machine to 125 to 135 and run it for about maybe 5 to 10 hours until they snap instead of bend. Season them well before they dry. If you like, a little salt, some garlic powder, maybe even some Parmesan. Up to you. And so you go through these, and your family probably go through these like potato chips, and they're never complain about, hey, I'm actually eating a vegetable. Now you can store cool chips into a jar with a tight lid somewhere where it's cool and dark. Check them first on the first couple of days. See if they pick up any softness from the air and run them back on a dehydrator for about an hour. You don't have a dehydrator, you still want to try this method, but I got you, okay? So some people might just want to build a simple DIY dehydrator. And I know it sounds a little complicated, but it really isn't. All you need is some basic materials, 30 minutes, and a sunny afternoon. This is a project that comes in handy for anyone who's living on a homestead because you can use it to try any fruit and or vegetable. If you're focused on living a more self-sufficient life, this is perfect for you. Why? Because there's no gas or electricity. And it's just using the power of the sun. Then it's the same method that you would do for sun-dried tomatoes. You could make it a powder. It's up to you. But we're still going to use a dehydrator because it gives you the second access to that window, allowing you to cut them in slices, and small slices instead of chips. And then you're going to make them, cut those chips into pieces and then dry them well. And then you're going to try and put them into a blender and grind them into a powder. You could use this powder later to thicken soups and stews. You can even add it into bread or dough. And it's a good way to get some extra nutrition for your day to day food and snacks. One fact that you can discover, or you will discover in your host center journey, and I know we're going in a different direction, but I just want to mention as a footnote, is you can also do meat into powder. Now, the first time you hear that, you might wonder why in the world would someone want to put meat into a powder, but there's some solid advantages that you get from it. Powdered meat, first of all, is one of the most efficient ways to preserve meat for long term. And it could comfortably fit, 1 pound of meat in a jar, and you could put it in your pantry and not have to worry about it for a very long time. That means you no longer need a fridge or a freezer, but you're still preserving the meat and all of those nutrients. Then the powdered meat is one of those amazing ingredients you can use in your own food. For example, you might add it to some mashed potatoes with gravy. This will turn your meat all the way up, or your meal all the way up, into one of those delightful experiences that you never had. Using the meat, obviously. I'm sure you can cook well. And if you've ever had a day when you're not feel like cooking, your food turns out bland, you add this and makes things so much better. You can also, going back to zucchini, pickle it and make it into a relish. If you've never had pickled zucchini, you're missing one of the best things out, and I suggest you try it. So stay tuned. Zucchini relish is a crowd favorite once they've had it. You shred up or finely chop the squash or zucchini with some onion and pepper, salted and let it dry overnight. And you cook it down with vinegar, sugar, and pickling spices before packing it into hot jars and processing them into a water bath. The vinegar is what makes it safe because it adds the acid that plain zucchini does not actually have on its own. You can use that relish just like that, or you can make it with on burgers, potato salad, or some deviled eggs. Hey, options are limited. It's relish at the end of the day. You can stick to a tested recipe for vinegar and salt amounts, right? Pickling is one of those places where you have to follow the numbers rather than eyeballing it. So I'll explain exactly why in a section next, because food safety is one of the things that people seem to not understand. You cannot safely, just complain about zucchinis anymore if you heard it from a old person or older person that does it their own way, or a recipe that they passed down. It's because that the USDA guidelines have been pulled on recommendations for canning zucchinis, right? Because there's a reason why zucchini has a low acid vegetable, and it gets soft during the canning process. It packs down tightly into a jar. Now remember what I told you about canning earlier was already cooked. And when it packs down, the heat cannot move through it evenly, so you end up with these cold areas where the spores can cause botulism. You don't want that. Look it up if you don't know what it is. And no one can back up the old processing times with the solid testing. So the guidance got withdrawn. You can read more about it on the Michigan State University Extension. So please freeze, dry, or pickle your extra squash instead. All right. So, and remember, we're not talking about the pickling version. We're talking about just canning zucchini on its own because of those cold spots. It's very different than we're talking about doing the pickling and canning those. All right. And the thing you can safely you can safely can is a zucchini pineapple recipe where the pineapple juice has enough acid to make the process safe. It comes out tasting sweet, like a sweet fruit over a yogurt or quick bread. It's one of those plain old things that makes it blessed when you've actually tasted. Now, again, remember, when we're talking about this, we're talking about canning and just doing a regular canning of the vegetable itself, or canning with some acid base. There's a difference, all right? So I don't want you to think that, like, hey, I'm going back. I just said canning was good. You got to really know what we're talking about, the difference from traditional canning and canning with something like vinegar or acid base to it. So, the pineapple and squash, it sounds great because again, pineapple has acids in there, and not everything has to end up on your plate, which is why we talked about different ways that you can use zucchini, such as relish, using it as a powder, chips, things like that. If you have some old zucchini that's very woolly, full of seeds, you need to know that they're perfect for your livestock, and they might not be too tough, or they may be too tough for the kitchen, but your animals might turn them up. You can also compost them too as well. Chickens go after split zucchini all day, pecking it clean, and it keeps them busy enough where they won't bother each other as much. If you got pigs, hey, they'll clean it up in no time. Goats, rabbits love them too. So you just split them open so they can get to the soft inside, and it's free feed that would otherwise go to waste. And it also keeps you to, that you kind of recycling or upcycling them. Zucchini compost bin. Now, I talked about this. Whenever your animals do not eat, they can still earn its day by going back into the ground. Zucchini is so full of water that it breaks down fast and is in a compost pile and gives your garden a nice boost. Chop up the big ones first. If you don't do this, they will sit there in a soggy form. I've seen it before, and the skin gets all like liquidy, like it's not nice. If you keep a worm bin for your chickens, soft and overripe zucchini is great food for the worms too. Also, one of the nice projects that you can do with a compost bin is a straw bale garden. The funny thing is that use a straw bale garden to grow exactly squash and cucumbers. The advantage of the straw bale garden are huge. You don't struggle with weeds, and there are no soil diseases, and your crops will be protected from any ground pests such as slugs and other crawling insects. You can also see how to make this project work for your garden right here. You save the seeds, right? And here is a use for that monster zucchini hiding under the leaves. Is the one that you somehow missed and was the size of your forearm, and it came from an open pollinated variety, not an F1 hybrid that you could save seeds from for the next spring. Let it grow big until the sun turns its skin hard and dull, well past the eating size. Then cut it open, scoop out the seeds, rinse the pulp off, and dry them fully on a plate for a couple of weeks before storing them somewhere cool and dark. One thing to keep in mind, zucchini crosses easily with other summer squash growing nearby, so the seed will only come true if you keep the plant isolated. This is a good way to stop buying seeds for next year and also guarantees you the same zucchini one you're going to be growing in the year afterwards. If you want to see exactly how heirloom seeds work, or how many other cultures like the Amish preserve their seeds, you can also follow us for more information because we'll be putting out more videos in the future. It's an old joke about locking your car in the summer so the neighbors don't sneak the zucchini in, all right? You got to be aware, man. People love donating zucchini all over the place, all right? The best thing to do is to share it. Drop some of your friends your extra zucchini. Bring a basket to church, swap up. Now, if you're growing zucchini, this is what you got to do, all right? A farmer market table works too. If you got the time, some folks will happily pay for a good fresh zucchini. Now we're talking about making some money. Trading what you have too much is also a good way to do it, which is traditional amongst homesteaders and neighbors. Find a neighbor growing something else and ask them if, hey, you could start to trade with them and share. Now, that's community living, right? People need repetition to form reflexes, and I think this helped because it gives you a lot of resources. So don't be afraid to start off small and practice one thing and do something different every season so that way you can start to master different ways and you might find something that actually works for you that you really love. I hope my ideas will help you, and not every single one of these ideas might be done in one season, as I said before. Pick 2 or 3 to start with and start from there. All right. If you have any suggestions about what to do with zucchini, I'll wait for them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. That's it, folks. You can go to Ancestry Lands to start owning property today with payments starting at $250 a month, no credit checks, and owning land has never been easier. It's time to build your land portfolio one property at a time. We help you to get dollars from dirt and build generational wealth by owning small plots of affordable vacant land. Contact us to learn more. Oh, and speaking of dollars from dirt, I also wrote a book about investing in land for you readers out there. My book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, is on Amazon. The link is in the description section below. Inside, you'll learn simple, easy to read insights that will have you understanding why you should own land today. For more tips and tricks, subscribe for updates, comment below, and let us know what you enjoyed about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
And remember, like and subscribe.